This recording we're going to do a revision of AC220, just overall the key topics we've covered across semester 2, but also we'll do a quick look at semester 1 as well. And then we'll go on and look at assignment 2, which is essentially going to be the alternative assessment for your end of year exam. So remember now, the first key important thing in terms of week 12 is your assignment 1, which covers kind of the semester 1 theory, and you've got a choice around which article or which topic you want to cover. That's due on Wednesday week 12, 15th of April. Single document upload, so bring everything to a single document. I want the cover page, the first page, then your signed declaration. Again, it doesn't have to be hand signed. If you have an e-signature or typed, that's fine. And you put a full bibliography at the end. So that's not included in the word count. Again, if you're in doubt about anything, just send me an email. But that's worth, as you see in your loop page, that's worth 35%, and that's due Wednesday of week 12. So in terms of the stuff we've covered then, semester 1 predominantly was accounting theory, and we covered a couple of accounting standards and more practical things. So introduction to accounting theory, accounting measurement, if I highlight those in yellow. That's me here. We'll put those in red just to say they're covered off. And we also look at positive accounting theory and accounting regulation theory and practice. That was usually your question 4 or 5 on the past exam papers you'll see. All of that is covered off by assignment 1. So you would have picked one that suited you. So that's not going to be examined in assignment 2. Likewise, analysis of financial statements, the ratio, that was covered in the semester 1 CA, worth 15%. So again, that's not going to be examinable. And what I'm doing to simplify it is you're not going to be asked to do a statement of cash flows. That is ruled out as well. So the only main one you need to know is IAS 1 and IAS 34. So IAS 34 is very short. It's the IAS 1, which is the main one. That's going to be your question 1. So there's only one question on this assignment 2. It's a big trial balance and financial statements question. So you need to know your IAS 1 questions. You need to know the layout of them and how you approach them. All the other topics are either covered in assignment 1, covered in the assessment which we had in semester 1, your assessment or your analysis of Glambia. And I said, for simplification, I've ruled out statement of cash flows. So IAS 7 will not be examinable on the 16th of May. For semester 2 then, all the standards we've covered, everything is examinable. So you'll get a collection of those as part of your assignment 2, and they'll all feed into a set of financial statements. So you have to be able to explain why you're making the treatment, you have to be able to do the journal entries, and you have to be able to prepare a set of financial statements. And I'll actually show you what the requirements are in a couple of slides times, so it won't be surprised what's asked in the day. You just don't know what standards come up and what issues within those standards. I have also included now up there, you'll see your past papers down the very bottom. So past papers for the last couple of years, summer and autumn. And again, what your focus on for now is question 1, 2 and 3. They're the computational questions that ask you journal entries, ask you to prepare a set of financial statements, and I've given you a little analysis of what comes up each year as well. Question 4 and 5 are covered through assignment 1. They're all narrative or theory in nature. They won't be asked again in assignment 2. What assignment 2 will be like a combination of question 1 structure, where you're asked to do a set of financial statements, but you might get some standards that were covered in question 2 and 3, so they can be nice tutorial as well. You don't need to worry about IAS 7. As I said, statement of cash flows will not be examined in assignment 2. So they're all available there in PDF format. So the assignment 2, I think it's your last exam, but just double check. It's on Saturday the 16th of May. The question will be released on Loop at 9:30 in the morning, and it's going to be released where you have all the other assignments. So you see here up towards the top, we have end of year assignments. The submission is there. I'll unhide these, so they'll be available as well. This slide deck that I'm going through and the cover page. And the assignment will be up there as well. And just for completeness and backup, I will email the whole class the assignment at that time, just if you have any issue with Loop. It's open book, so you can do it yourself, but you must sign a declaration, which I'll give to you. There's a downloadable here cover page and a declaration. They're the first 2 pages that I want to see. Your cover page, and then there's a signed declaration that this is your own work. Because even though it's a take-home exam, it's open book, it has to be done by you and you alone. So there can't be any collusion. And an important thing at the end you'll see included is you may be asked as part of the grading process to provide an oral interview. So again, we have the right to say, look, we want to interview as part of this submission to make sure this is your work and to make sure that there's a rigorous exam process. So although it's a new exam format, it's still the same plagiarism and collusion requirements as any exam. And you must submit your final answer on Loop by 1:30 that same day. So you have 4 hours to turn it around. Right, so the submission link is on Loop, as I said. No handwritten solutions are accepted. That's an important one. It must be typed. And that's important because you'll see the requirements in a second. There's a lot of narrative in this as well. There'll be a lot of workings. You should be using Excel and copy that into Word then to submit your final document. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But I've showed you a number of tutorials now how to use Excel for calculations, particularly the longer financial statement ones. It makes it a lot easier. So your cover page and signed declaration, sort that before the exam, have those ready to go. Based on the length of the question, it's a longer than normal question one. You're probably talking about 2 hours to 2.5 hours. The reason you're given 4 hours is to tidy up the documents, deal with any technology issues, and to upload it via Loop. So my recommendation would be use Excel for all the financial statements, calculations, and then copy it into a Microsoft Word document for the final upload. Because your first 2 pages will be your cover sheet and your signed declaration, and then you can go on and extend that for the rest of the calcs. You can decide if you want, you can submit it as PDF at the end if you want it or not. I'll show you how to do that in a second as well. So this is your actual requirements. You're going to have 50 marks because it's worth 50% of your overall grade. The first 25 is a professional memo. A memo is just who is it to, who is it from, what's the key heading of it, and a nice professional structure to it. So it's not all over the place. And that's why it's useful to use Microsoft Word, because it's very easy to format that. If you're trying to do that with pen and paper, with all the calculations you're doing, you'll have scribbled out, you'll have Tipex, etc. It won't look professional. So we're trying to make it easy for you to format at the end, in that 1.5 to 2 hours that you'll have left over. We want you to discuss your treatment. That's in narrative form. We want you to give journal entries, and we want you to make reference to the relevant technical guidance, i.e. your standards. So that's an extra thing you wouldn't see in a normal exam question one. We want you to explain your adjustments to each one. Why are you doing it? So actually explaining it to Sarah in a professional way and giving journal entries, professional journals as well. So that's 25 marks. The other 25 marks then is to finish off the financial statements. You'll see here there's no cash flow statement required, but the other 3 statements are. And most students will do those in Excel because it's easier to tot them up and you'll bring them in. But I'll show you a couple of things to watch out for as you go through. 25 marks part A, 25 marks part B. Alright, so it's longer than a normal question one, but same overall structure. You'll get a trial balance, you'll get a collection of adjustments, and you have to prepare the adjustments and prepare the set of financial statements. IS1 is the key standard from semester 1, and all standards are examinable from semester 2. Right. The study for this is you're studying for a normal question one. Look at all the past papers, look at the tutorial questions, particularly tutorial week 11 and week 12, where I go through a full exam standard question one, and the reading week packs and your question packs as well. And again, if you're in doubt at any stage, just send me an email. I know this is a new exam format, but it is very similar to a normal question one. It's just going to be longer and more detailed because, of course, it's open book and take it home. So before the exam day, what do you need to get sorted? Fill in that cover page and the signed declaration. Have that ready to go, that you're not wasting time on the day of the exam. Decide on a plan. Have your laptop, have your charger, a quiet room. Your Wi-Fi hopefully will work for the day. Again, don't be too concerned. I know students have come and said, oh, I might have slow Wi-Fi. Look, we'll try and deal with those technology issues. Try and work on the basis you're going to have the exam on the day and you're going to have to upload it within the 4 hours. If anything arises on the day, keep your emails open and I will be in touch if I have to announce anything, but do keep your emails open for the day. So will you print the question? Some students will have printers, others will just work on the screen. Either one is fine. So just try what will work for me. Will I use Microsoft Word and Excel? Will I PDF at the end? You don't have to PDF it. Some students like to, and I'll show you that in a second as well. But a Microsoft Word document is fine. I'll give you practical examples. And on the day of the exam, have a template ready. So you might use, for example, this is tutorial week 11. Use that as your template. Have it ready in Excel, so you're just slotting in as you go. Save time and get those professional marks. Set up the files and save as you go. So have a template Word saved in your desktop, saved on Google Drive, same in Excel, and save as you go. What you don't want to happen here, this is a new exam format, you're an hour into the exam and the laptop crashes or the Microsoft Word file crashes. So save as you go and have it backed up and start on time. There's no point saying, oh sure, it takes 4 hours, it's a 4-hour slot, I'll start at 11 o'clock. Then you're cutting it fine at the end that something might go wrong. The reason I'm giving you the 4 hours is to have that buffer time at the end to tidy it up and get it uploaded as soon as you're happy with it. And please do keep your DCU emails open. That if I have to announce something, we don't have the benefit of exam hall, I will announce it over email. So keep an eye on those emails as well. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is show you some examples of what I expect students to do. Again, there's not rocket science here, it's just all about format and getting used to it. The one key thing is you have to upload a single document. It cannot be an Excel file because you're doing a lot of narrative here and Excel doesn't really work for narrative. So it's really going to be Microsoft Word or PDF. That's your choice. And when you are copying from Excel, watch that I won't be able to see your formula. So you'll need to annotate some key formula as required. And I'll show you that now in a simple example. So if you don't have Word or Excel and you're using a Mac or some equivalent, as long as it's in the format of a Word or similar or a PDF, that's fine. So there are alternative softwares I'm aware. If you're in doubt, just send me a sample of it. Just say this is what it would look like and I'll tell you if it's fine or not. But generally most students will use Word. So their core document will be the one they download. Cover page, declaration of plagiarism, and then they'll come to the next page and they'll start their part A, which is the memo to Sarah. What you can do then is if you want to use a template in Excel, you might, for example, if I'm doing a working to show IFRS 15 and I'm showing my IFRS 16, I can just highlight them, Control and C, copy, come to my Microsoft Word document. After I've written a bit, I've written my memo and I've written all that. So I've written in just a nice word processing. I can then copy in my key journals. Control V, just takes a second to load, and there they're slotted in. And they're actually what they are is they're a nice table. So if you try to do that in Microsoft Word, set a table, you'd be taking half the day to format it. The easiest thing is do it in Excel, copy it in, Control V, and if you want to then align, because if you look at here, this is 14 times New Roman, these are only 12. If you highlight this top left corner, there's the little arrows, it highlights all the text, and I can say there, I want that to be 14, and I want it to be times New Roman. So you can make all the font of the Word document align. Because often when you copy in from Excel, it'll be a different format. That's fine, you can deal with it at the end and make it all neat, because there is marks going for presentation as well. So it's very easy. I would use Excel to do all the calcs. Why? Because it's easier than to tot them up. When I'm doing Excel, for example, if I'm copying in here like I did, that's what I mean by annotating the solution. That I show where the 80 comes from. That I show where the 56 comes from. Because if I just copied in the 56 there and didn't show that, when I go here, that 56 doesn't appear as a formula. It just appears as a number. I don't know where that's coming from. So where important, you need to annotate. You wouldn't need to annotate the 344 there. I know net book value is cost minus accumulated depreciation. Or for example, if you're copying in the statement of profit and loss here. So if I copied in that, for example, in the next page, you wouldn't need to explain to me where gross profit came from. I know it's one minus the other. But what's useful is, see these nice little workings, it shows me where each figure is. So you don't need to annotate it there, you will have a separate working that's copied in. So it's very easy, copy and paste in. You could do the same then for your statement of financial position, have it all done, have it all balanced in Excel, because that makes it easier to tot them up. Excel is the one to save time for totting. You don't have to show me where that tot comes from. I know how the statement of financial position is worded. But you do have to show me where does the 855 come from. And you're saying it's trial balance and working for. And you can just copy those in. Control C, go to your next page, your Word document, Control V, and all your statement of financial position is neatly in there. So it's not rocket science here, it's just about practice. My preference would be do your calculations in Excel, have them neat. Excel makes it easy to tot up, so when you're trying to balance it at the end, you're saving time, you're not having to use a calculator, it's very slow, and then copy it in. Same with your statement of changes in equity, Control C, and you'll come to the bottom. Let's do another page. You can decide what page you want to do, and Control V. There's your statement of change in equity. Now please note, sometimes, for example, your statement of change in equity might have another 2 or 3 columns, and it may not fit in terms of this portrait. What you can do is, if you go to the previous page, have your clicker, your cursor there, go to Layout, and go to Break, and say, I want a new section break. And it brings you to the next page. And what you want to do in the next page is, I want to change the orientation to landscape. So the reason we did that is, if you didn't create a break and I just changed the landscape, the whole document would change. I only want to change from this page on, and now I can Control V my statement of change in equity, and you can see I could have much more space for another 2 or 3 columns if needed. The only problem with that, if you notice, if you come to the next page now and you go down to the following page, it's still landscape, as is the next page, and so on. That may not suit because you may want to go back to portrait. So if you go back to this page, put the cursor, you say, I want to change the section again in the next page. So you do another section break, and I go orientation back to portrait. So look what happens now. Start off with portrait, which is kind of your narrow vertical format. I then change section, I become a landscape to fit in a wider one, and then I change the section again to fit back to the normal one. And that may happen as you're going through the document. If a table doesn't neatly fit, you can put one page to landscape orientation and change the section back. So there's plenty of flexibility in Word there. So my advice would be, do your calculations in Excel, because you'll have a template. Copy and paste them in as required to Word. If you want at the end then, and you want to say, I don't want to submit a Word, I want to submit a PDF, all you do at the end is File, Save As, Browse, and when it gives you the file name there, instead of saving as Word document, save as PDF. And that will save it here. And what the PDF should automatically pop up, just depending on the settings you have. And there I have a nice PDF document, can't be altered. There's my cover page and declaration, the first 2 things. Now they should be signed and filled in beforehand. And there's your requirements, there's your profit and loss statement, your financial position, and look at the way statement change in equity comes up the landscape orientation. So it's nice and neat, but that's what we want. We professional presentation using a Word document, using Excel, and you have the choice then at the end if you want to do in PDF or not. That's personal preference, but just get used to that. It's actually going to save you a lot of time. You're no longer scribbling, you're no longer totting up on a calculator, which takes a lot of time. All of it can be done in Excel. You can format with bold headings, nice italics, underlining to format your financial statements. So it will be a lot more efficient. Just get used to it over the next couple of weeks, using your past exam questions as a practice. Right, again, if you have any questions or uncertainties, just ask. So your key study tips then are statement of cash flows, ratios, and semester 1 theory are not examinable. Right, the only things examinable is IAS 1 and all the standards in semester 2. You will be asked for narrative to explain your calculations, and you will be asked for journal entries. So it's a longer than normal question 1, and there'll be more adjustments as well, because it's a take-home exam and we want to cover off a good bit of the examinable standards. So it's important that you have a structure. How do I go through a question 1? Have I neat workings? Have I neat financial statements and cross-reference my workings? And use your tutorial week 11. See the way I cross-reference my workings. I cross-reference them in, and I have neat journals as well. Use those. What isn't given there is the explanation. You will be asked to explain them as well. So you have to give a little narrative to understand why you're making those adjustments. They weren't asked on previous exam questions. So you have to have a professional layout, professional presentation, and you need to know your standards. All right. So other than that, the very best to look, you have finishing some assignments, I know, obviously for AC220, Wednesday week 12, and you have also other assignments due, and you will have a collection of exams over the coming weeks. So I know it's new territory that you're going to be studying from home, you're on lockdown, so it's quite a difficult period for a lot of you, but try and make the most of it. Come up with a study plan now. How am I going to split out the next few weeks? What is coming when? So lay out your exam calendar, lay out your assignment calendar, and try and slot in your study. Right, remember, although they're open book exams, although they're take-home exams, they're still DCU exams. They must be done with the integrity of DCU exams. That's why you're asked to sign a declaration. It must be your own work. You can't be colluding. You can't get other people to help you or other people to do the work for you. It must be your own. And that's why we have the potential to ask you for an oral interview as part of the grading process if needed. But again, just set up, put a study plan in place, and have a place in your home now, whether it's your own room, whether it's the sitting room, that you know this is where I'm going to sit my exams. This is where I'm going to have the laptop, it's going to be charged, and this is where I'm going to lay out my notes that I'm going to be able to do the exam for whatever length of time, in terms of AC220, a 4-hour exam. And particularly as you go through now, the next couple of weeks, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're uncertain about your software, if you're uncertain about a particular exam question, you're uncertain about a particular answer, just ask. Right? That's what we're here for. Do not be afraid to ask over the coming weeks. Right? So the very best of luck with the rest of the assignments and with all your exams that are coming up.